This episode was recorded on December 7th with Ron Au. Enjoy.
Vercel is the platform for front-end developers, providing the speed and reliability innovators need to create at the moment of inspiration. Founded by the creators of Next.js, Vercel has zero configuration support for 35 plus front-end frameworks, including SvelteKit. We enable the world's largest brands like Under Armour, eBay, and Nintendo to iterate faster and create quality software. Try out Vercel today to experience the easiest way to use Svelte.
Hey, it's Svelte Radio again. I'm back with my beautiful co-hosts, Brittany and Sean. Anthony's not here, but he's also beautiful. And today we have a guest. It's none other than Mr. Floating Head, Ron Au. How do you pronounce it?
If you ever forget, just hit yourself in the arm, and that's the sound you make.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, hi, Ron. Welcome to Svelte Radio.
Howdy, lovely to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming. So I've been knocked out by a cold, as you've heard, so I haven't done anything. But yeah, so let's talk with our guest. Ron, who are you?
That is a very big question that I've been trying to answer my whole life. For you in the tech industry, I am a front-end engineer. That's the title. I work for Hugging Face, which if you guys were, everyone listening last week, Penguin was on, who is also at Hugging Face, both on the product front-end team. I touch a little bit of AI in that realm. I'm also studying data science on the side, but mainly I work in the front-end and web dev space. Most people know me from the neck up, from talks I did with Just My Head. And I like to focus when I have the autonomy and luxury, underline the second one, to do whatever I want. I tend to like to do more creative stuff in the web dev space.
Before we continue with the episode, here's a word from our sponsor, Vercel.
Vercel is the platform for front-end developers, providing the speed and reliability innovators need to create at the moment of inspiration. Founded by the creators of Next.js, Vercel has zero configuration support for 35 plus front-end frameworks, including SvelteKit. We enable the world's largest brands like Under Armour, eBay, and Nintendo to iterate faster and create quality software. Try out Vercel today to experience the easiest way to use Svelte.
Yeah, the floating head talk, it's infamous in the Svelte community. So if you're a new listener and maybe new to the Svelte community, I urge you to go back to Ron's talk. I think it's called Web LMO'd. And
Correct.
was it recorded during maybe 2021 spring, maybe?
2020 March, in fact. Way back.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I think that was longer
2020,
ago.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't believe
that's
it's taken
way
this
back.
long to get you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
I have tried.
Yes, props to Kevin. It's taken some convincing, but here we are, finally.
Finally.
The funny thing is,
you're
when I
here.
did that talk, I wasn't even in the industry yet. I was still doing my older government multimedia job.
So let's talk about that. Like, so you were in multimedia in the government somehow. But
Right.
first off, you're in Australia, right?
Yes, correct. On one day.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So rewinding even further back, when I set out to, have a career, not just a job, journalism was the thing on my mind. And engineering was very far off it. In fact, I still remember the spots in high school when we're thinking about electives and software engineering came up. I remember thinking in my head, I would never want to be a software engineer. It's not my cup of tea, not up my alley. No, easy choice. Scratch that one right off. So into journalism I went, and specifically print journalism, which is newspapers, magazines, all that jazz. And I wanted to do long form as well. But if any of you have been keeping abreast of how that industry is going, the writing's been on the wall for like over a decade now. And I kind of did a half pivot. So multimedia is, I worked in the newsroom for Australian police, the state police called New South Wales Police Force. And that was, 1 foot in the journalism realm and then 1 foot in kind of the tech, video editing, audio, a little bit of web dev. And that kind of paved my way for software as well. I've always thought of all the self-teaching I did with software. It was more along the lines of how necessity is the mother of invention. I'd find a little bit of thing that code could help with. I wrote a lot of auto hotkey scripts back then. Then I started writing Chrome extensions to help with stuff, tiny JavaScript snippets. Then that started getting more and more. And then someone would tap me on the shoulders, hey, Ron, the web department says this is going to take 12 months to develop. Like, do you know anything about this? And I said, oh, they're saying 12 months because it takes 11 and a half months of tape to get through, but it really takes, a week to do. So I thought, oh, yeah, how about I push something that gets, 95% of the way, like in a few days? And they, oh, that's great. And I did more and more of that stuff. And it was around, about a bit over 12 months ago, I thought, hey, I've got all these coding, all this coding experience here. The industry I was intending to go into isn't really panning out, but this software thing over there is looking pretty good, and it's looking like it's growing. I mean, it sounds bad saying that now in this climate, but back then, it looked pretty sweet, and I was lucky to get in eventually. So I did. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's still better than journalism. In the journalism industry, even now, probably.
Good point.
Yeah, it's rough there. Like if you're really steadfast and say you don't want to do online journalism, you don't want to do like social media kind of journalism, you don't want to do clickbait journalism, like it's quite hard to just be, if someone says, come straight out of college saying, I want to be a long form investigative print journalist, yeah, right. Good luck. Yeah. Admirable, but good luck.
I wish that was not the case. I kind of love long form journalism. It's really nice.
It's a hollowing out.
4 of the publications I wanted to work for, like 3 of them went bust, and 1 went from monthly to quarterly, and that was kind of like always at the back of my mind, like leading up into it. Sean, you were saying?
I think there's a classic model called like the hollowing out of journalism, where you either have global news and you only have the top brand names in the global news, or you have local news and there's basically no room in the middle.
Interesting.
It's rough.
So having that journalism background, and now that you are a software engineer, are you enjoying it more? Is this like, do you see your future here? Like, do you like this?
I definitely enjoy it more. Okay. I think there's been this kind of gravity towards it. Like when I first did that talk, I wasn't even in the industry. And at the time, I was also very reluctant to have an online presence, to do social media, to build a profile, all that kind of stuff, do networking. And even when I signed up for the talk, the notion was, okay, I don't have any experience in this. Giving talks, I don't really have much experience in the industry. If you accept my call for a proposal, that's on you. I've written this. I'm not saying you have to take me, but if you do, well, that's on you. No matter how bad or inexperienced or unuseful my talk is. But once I did it, to my great surprise, like people actually really enjoyed it, and I found that I actually enjoyed it as well. And then I started doing other talks, meeting other people, and then actually joining the industry. Because at the time I gave the talk, I wasn't even thinking of joining the industry just yet. It was still like on the mind, but I wasn't like applying or anything like that. That definitely pushed me over the edge. And since then, even my wife says, she's noticed that this feels like, more like I'm a fish in water here than in journalism.
It's nice to hear that you really started like enjoying it. And
I think you found a place that you thrive in too, because your talks are infamous. Almost like we love your talks and we expect them at every conference now.
Yeah, I've been like, it's been a double-edged sword. With the rear edge mostly dull because it's mostly been positive. Like there's this expectation that whenever I hop on stage, I'm going to be funny. And
right.
Very recently, what was it? Yeah, I gave a talk the other week. I gave a online talk at a meetup about using Whimsy and CSS, and one of the boxes I want to tick was don't write a script in order to be funny. So just be very content oriented. Just talk about that, and like don't make any effort to be funny. Like if it comes naturally while I'm talking, because I don't just read off a script by all means, but don't try to be funny. And that was a little bit of like a weight off my not a weight off my shoulder, but a breath of slightly fresh air. And I say this with this game that I always enjoy doing the funny stuff anyway, and it's not like a burden. It's not like, oh, I wish I wasn't typecast as this. I very much enjoy that, but it's nice to not do that for every single one. And yeah, it's nice to do different things.
Is a little bit of an aside, but do you follow Jay's work for Whimsy and CSS?
JHEY? Oh yeah, absolutely. I've said this to Sean in the past. Jay's one of the people who gives me imposter syndrome the most, and I generally don't get imposter syndrome. But when I see his stuff, I think, oh man, I think I'm creative. That's creative.
I mean, he's just insanely talented. But for the listeners that don't know, that's JH3Y on Twitter. I think.
Is that J Tompkins?
J Tompkins.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. If you see a bear with glasses, you're in the right place.
He is now a DevRel at Chrome, working on that Chrome team. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, bringing Whimsy to Google Chrome. Maybe. Yeah. Who knows?
I guess Google DevRel. I don't know. Like, is it Google or Chrome? I mean, they're the same company, but they're educating on CSS. So
yeah. I wonder if is he on the same team as Adam Argyle? Probably?
As Una and Adam. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
That's a good fit. That's a good match.
Yeah.
Right. So you were at the New South Wales, was it? New South Wales
New South Wales Police Force.
Yeah. So doing all this random stuff, web dev, editing videos, social media as well, or just more content? Yeah. So what's the step here from doing this floating head talk on, Web LO mode, I'm going to call it by the title, and then doing that talk, still being at the police force, and then where do we go from here?
I think that's when I started appreciating getting to know people and doing talks. So that same year, I did a talk on accessibility in Australia, and once it started entering my mind that I might do this more seriously, it then dawned on me that I need to also take it seriously. Writing a bit of fun CSS here and there is good for like a code pen, but if you're trying to do a job or be in production or whatever, there's a certain like threshold you need to at least meet before you. So I figured, okay, I need to cover my bases, and I'm not sure if you all know. I'm having mind blank. It's early in the morning here. Josh Komal? Yes. Josh Komal. That's it. Yeah. He had something similar to carpal tunnel syndrome, where he wasn't able to use his computer, which was a big issue. Sean, I think you were talking about this on last week's or a previous week's episode, how it's rough, being a developer, typing and having that cause you pain when that's,
Yes.
Yeah. And he was looking into voice assisted, typing and, developer work as well. And he used a combined, voice activation things. He used an eye tracker to use his pupils to move the cursor around. And that really opened my eyes in the fact that, normally we think of accessibility, we think of someone who, has mobility issues because they're born that way or they're injured. You don't often think, a developer themselves has entered circumstances which has made them require accessibility considerations. And that was a big eye-opener. And I figured, okay, I need to, get rid of some presumptions about accessibility here. So I signed up to that talk 10% hoping they wouldn't accept it, because I didn't know everything about what I was going to talk about when I did the CFP. And so when they did accept it, I think, okay, right, well, now I've got to research this thoroughly. And that's often a way to get my butt up to study and learn something. Commit to it and then be forced to carry it through.
Yeah.
And then
I've
so that's my way of
actually-
learning, Ellie.
That's interesting. I kind of do the same thing. I've used a lot of the meetups here in Stockholm and talks here as a way of like forcing myself to learn the stuff, or even just like the talks or streams that I've been doing online.
It's a good way to experiment with an idea and almost force yourself into like learning something new. Just if you have a thought about something, just putting in CFPs for that and doing that. Charlie Gerard is another person in that space that's been doing a lot with like AI learning, and she uses her mind to like do Figma design and stuff.
She's great. She was actually at my first talk was in 2020 March, but last week I went to my first in-person Australian conference after 2.5 years of dealing with conference and all that. And it sounds crazy because I live in Australia and I've been involved in conferences for so long, but COVID and all that. It was Web Direction Summit run by John Alsop. It's probably the biggest web dev conference in Australia. And that was actually, I might be skipping, ahead in topics here, but it was really nice, just the community aspect and seeing people here. You guys all remember Tejas from Svelte Summit? Yep. Who's listening? He emceed the most recent conference in Sweden. He was there. So it was kind of like a nice, turning of the tables, me flying from Australia to Sweden and then him coming all the way to Australia and all that. So it made, after 2 years of COVID and online talks and meeting people online, just seeing people in person, like it just felt more human. That kind of reminded me why I started enjoying the industry in the first place.
Right. Yeah. All right. So you've done a bunch of talks, and then you went from the police force. Where did you head off next? Because I assume you started working in the industry, I assume, at some point. Right?
Yeah. So continuing on with the networking thing, I landed my first job in the industry through Twitter, believe it or not. I discovered the animation panel in Chrome DevTools, which if you weren't fully aware of it, you wouldn't be aware of it unless you stumbled across it like me. I don't even recall how I found it. I think I was just clicking around, exploring, doing, what do you call it? Spelunking,
There's a lot in there. Yeah.
There's a lot, right? There are a lot of tabs and panes, those 3 vertical dots, man, they're unassuming, but there's a lot under there.
Down the rabbit hole you went.
Exactly. And I found the animation panel where you can pause CSS animations, slow them down and all that. Just quite a little video. Andy Bell, another great developer in the UK, he just retweeted that. And someone in an Australian startup who was looking for front-end engineers saw that because they followed Andy Bell. And then they just got in touch and said, hey, we're looking for engineers. Are you interested? We chatted and started working for them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was very, 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 so random, but more so than that, very fortunate on my part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then I guess you continued working for them for a while, and
and then now I'm at Hugging Face, which is a nice thing because that company, they worked with Vue, which is nice to work with actually, but
I don't believe it.
There's a certain part of the title of this podcast, the first half, which is the reason why we're all here. Hugging Face, as uses Svelte, so I was very happy to land that role.
Yeah. So, what kind of stuff do you work on at Hugging Face? I know Penguin. He works
His real name.
on his real name Penguin. So he works on Gradio, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the same team that you're on, or are you on a different one?
Yeah, so we're broadly in the front end team. His focus is on Gradio. I've made a few PRs to Gradio, but the main projects we work on are one called Inference Endpoints. It's where if you want to productionize a model and to get a REST API, you don't have to worry about all the hosting stuff or the scaling. You just pick what you want, choose whether you want a CPU, how beefy it is, whether it's GPU, how beefy it is, and how many redundancy scaling replicas you want, and then you just get you send normal post requests and get inference instead of having to set up your own Python or Fast API backend for all that. And then on the main website, help out here and there. But yeah, I'm kind of doing front end all over the joint.
Yeah. I guess you're enjoying that?
Yeah. I mean, first off, like the svelte aspect is nice, but the company tends to be a nice place to be at. Think about it. If your company's called Hugging Face, you can't be too serious. Right? And that's definitely the kind of vibe I'm looking for in a company. And they've been very generous allowing me to work Australian hours. I don't have to wake up, the crack of dawn to be awake for European or American folks.
Yeah, I don't know how many folks like work remotely with these async teams, and it is so difficult with the time zones, like trying to coordinate with teams. So that is like a nice thing that they allow you. Like you don't have to get up and do like a kickstart at midnight your time or some crazy.
Yeah, the all hands are a bit rough. They're at 2 or 3 a.m. usually, but that's like once a quarter, so I can accept that.
Yeah. So we should probably mention that Ron is up at like 1 a.m. Is it 2 a.m. even now?
Oh, for this, yeah.
It's
for this
1:49 a.m. as of now.
Oh my God.
Sorry about that.
No, it's not the worst. I had to run some talks at 3 a.m. Earlier in the year. So like this is all right. This is all right.
It's not that late or early, I guess.
I think it's something you may have to deal with more than others. Just being in Australia, I think the time zones are just so different from most of the rest of the world that it's hard for you.
Yeah, but the thing is, you get what you pay for, especially in this industry. If I decided to constrain myself to Australian hours and Australian folks, there are so many. All of you, literally all 3 of you, I wouldn't have met you or at least gotten to know you if I stuck to that. And even though like on the odd occasion, I might get zombie eyes in the morning, what I get in return is these great relationships.
That is so true. That's an awesome thing to say. I guess Sean now too is over in sort of that part of the world, right?
Yeah, he's a lot closer.
Yeah. I travel a lot, so
you're working your opposite 9 to 5 again.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's the beauty of tech. It shrinks the world, and hopefully someday we'll shrink the galaxy or whatever.
Yeah,
I think about this a lot. Like when in science fiction, every planet has like one identity instead of every country having one identity, and I think it's nice probably that you stop emphasizing really petty differences between countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess a downside to like not having countries would be kind of the culture would disappear. I kind of I mean
embrace
it doesn't have
monoculture.
I advocate for as many people, if you have the capability to travel and see the world and other cultures, to do it, because I think that is the best learning experience, to see how other people like truly live and believe. Like, so you don't have these facades up of like how the rest of the world actually looks. You go and you see it and you experience it.
Yeah, and it does differ a lot.
Not to put it down on things, but I reckon the reason in all these sci-fi novels we see these completely unified planets is because the authors were too lazy to write complex cultures and differences and complex.
That's really
probably true. Yeah.
But no, so like I got into this a little bit recently because I was saying I've become an English maxi. Like there's just now that machines can easily translate between different languages, there's no point learning any other language. English is the best. English won.
Rough, but mostly true.
Like Duolingo is like a $10 billion company. It should not exist.
Oh,
right.
Is that your unpopular opinion today?
Sure. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like how people like even back in the day when Latin was long dead, people studied Latin just for like scratching the intellectual itch. Do you think like in 1,000 years we'll all learn Spanish or Chinese just because it's a fun thing to do? Is that where you think we're going, Sean?
Yeah, probably. Like, so, okay, I mean, the realistic difference is there will always be local differences between the way that we speak. Like even within England or the UK, there's like all different variations of languages, and some of them you can't even understand each other, right? So humans inherently want to be different and will be different. But I think we can probably start from a what is that? What's Brittany showing us in the screen? Is that your Duolingo?
Are you showing your Duolingo streak?
I have a 237-day streak for learning
language?
Spanish.
Nice,
Spanish.
nice. Yeah, but like
Nice.
don't kid yourself. Like it's entertainment rather than being functionally fluent.
Yeah, languages are fun. I kind of
I-
enjoy them.
I feel like it's something too that you have to be in the culture and speak with people too. Like even learning on Duolingo, I feel like I know a lot of words, but I don't feel like I could have a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of it's interesting with like the English is kind of winning, because I think it is as well. Like even here in Sweden, like all the youngsters, they're using more and more English words in their vocabulary, right? And I'm here like an old grumpy man, like, oh, why don't you use the Swedish word? There's a Swedish word for this. I catch myself like I probably shouldn't do that. Like
You you have a right to your own language. I mean, that's pride in your language. But I was talking to Tim Benix and Ingi from Uniform. And so Tim's in France and Ingi's in Germany. And I said something similar, that I think English is like, it's amazing that these countries are like adopting English and you learn it from such a young age and you're bilingual or trilingual, depending on where you're at, you learn all these languages. And they're like, you know what, in these countries, like it's really not that way. Like in France and Germany, like especially in the countryside in France, they're very proud of their language and they speak it. And in Germany, it's not common for people to speak that much English. So it's surprising a little bit to me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a meme. Like the like people here say that like if you go to the countryside in France and you, even if they know English, they won't speak it with you.
Yeah.
Which is, that's rough. But yeah. And then as soon as you try to speak some French, they'll help you out, I guess, because they see that you're trying. I don't know if it's true.
I think that just based on Tim's experience, he's from Amsterdam or the Netherlands, so he speaks Dutch originally, but he speaks English, and then he moved to the countryside in France from Paris, where he could speak English, and then he has had to teach himself like enough to get by in the countryside because nobody will speak English to him.
Yeah, and I guess it's also a thing of like the older generations are probably going to stay in the countryside, and then the younger ones are moving into the cities. So yeah, that makes sense. All right, so let's maybe get back to Svelte. I don't know. Is that a good idea?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
You don't
have to. So you've done a couple of other fun talks as well at Svelte Summit. The swoosh, shabam, whimsy in motion is a pretty cool one.
Exploding head emoji. Yep.
Yeah. And
that one was see, I've been trying to do different things with each talks, and I know people were disappointed that there was no floating head in that second one, but because even though it's been 2 years, I'm still relatively, I don't have a large number of talks under my belt compared to people who do this full time or have been in the industry for a long time. So I'm still in that period where I can afford to experiment. Like if I was like a massive name, like the thing with like the being funny thing, like that's already kind of gotten away from me. Like there's that expectation, but now I can, especially online as well, I can experiment, do something different. So with that one, it was very much, I want to show more step-by-step coding. I want to have like a more of a project where we walk through the implementations of it and kind of fall into that wackiness of it. Like the people are expecting something wacky now. Okay, I don't have to do any disclaimers that strap yourselves in. This isn't going to be that normal. So even in the title, I was wondering whether you guys would accept that title or not, even like having a really long one in there, words that were just onomatopoeia and the emoji, but you folks accepted it, so props to you.
Yep. And then this year's talk, we had Scrolly Tell Me Why, Ain't Nothing But a Piece of Cake. We got to sing the Backstreet Boys song as like the intro. Scrolly Tell
was
Me
glorious.
Why.
I mean, we couldn't have gotten a better MC than someone who, did Tay just teach singing? Or did he just do singing?
He like did choir or something and taught the choir, and he was like back in those days, and then he just started going off singing. It was amazing.
Yeah, couldn't have asked for a better MC for that one.
Yeah, so all interesting talks. That one was about scrolly telling, right? Which is a fun. I know there's one company that does this a lot, and it's Apple, right? They do.
Yes.
I guess it's not really. What would you call that? Scrolly telling? Sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in terms of,
like the techniques.
I mean, you think about scrolling from implementation and then scrolly telling from the effects. And from the effect side, it's definitely scrolly. You scroll and, different things happen tied to your scrolling. So yeah, by all that definition, yeah, they do that a lot.
In this talk, we got to see Ron die in Demon Souls over and over again.
Right. Yeah.
That's right. Elden Ring, that was my first entry into the Dark Souls series. Yeah. They weren't lying when they said it was hard. I did a lot of dying.
Did you finish it?
No, I haven't actually. I got like 75% through my way through, and the game corrupted my save, and then I just didn't have the heart to go through it.
Yeah.
But it was fun, it's like it's one of those games where it's the journey that matters, not the destination, or something like that. That's what I tell myself as I cry myself to sleep.
Make
anyway,
yourself feel better. All the hours lost. Jeez.
Yeah, I got to talk out of it. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did manage to satisfy people's urge to see a floating head to some degree, though. I didn't have my head floating. Because people kept asking me, are you going to do like, some green screen thing, on stage and all that? And I thought about it and I thought, okay,
how would that work?
But how would that even work? And even if it did work, what is the point if you can see me in person and my torso and all that? So I had that little like scrolling thing with my head.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. The scrolling head, when you scrolled, like it spun around.
Yeah. So meeting expectations. Oh, especially Dom at the start. I don't know if you folks recall, but before I even got to start, Tom was like, Tay just asked him why he was sitting at the front. And he said, I'm sitting at the front because this talk is going to be, whatever it was, it's very good, amazing, whatever. And then he said, blow us away. It's like, I'm glad it turned out well and the people enjoyed the talk. So, that was a good setup. But if I bombed it, that'd be on him. I'd be blaming Dom.
He was like, I got a seat right in the front because I know this talk is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah. Like I said before, like the people in like the community have just been really nice. And I think if my first talk had been like a React talk where it's like much more massive, you're more of like a tiny fish in a massive, massive pond, I might not have had the same, inclination to, at least I wouldn't have entered the industry as rapidly or found, oh yeah, talks are great and all that. But there's something special about this Svelte community where everyone kind of like knows each other. Everyone's really friendly. And yeah, like what Dom did there, that's a prime example of how good the community is.
Yeah.
I think I said in the documentary that it feels like a small town community. Like if you have this small town and you all kind of know each other and you help support each other. And that's what the Svelte community feels like to me. And not that we're just like tiny and not very big, but just like that's how it makes you feel. Like there's a lot of people here, but there's support and there's people that gather around you and lift you up when you need it.
100%.
Yeah. And it's going to be a challenge to keep that as we grow larger and larger, but it's definitely something that I think we should work with in mind. Like we need to keep that feeling, I think, or we could try at least somehow.
Yeah, I think we need to make sure that we're welcoming new people and having these events and things. And I think it will continue to grow and feel like the same thing.
Yeah. So, why Svelte though? Why was that the one that you started with? I guess.
So when you're not a software engineer by profession, you have the luxury of doing whatever you like. You can pick up a project and not touch it for 12 months. You can write terrible code. You can pick something that came out last week and make that the foundation of your entire project. And in 2019, when I first started using Svelte, it was very less proven, in the industry.
Yep.
But that didn't matter because I was like a one man, just doing his own thing. And I was very close to being an Imba developer back then.
Interesting.
Which is also has a precompiled philosophy. And I was really getting into reading different articles in Imba, going through the getting started and all that, until I read one Medium article. I have this link somewhere. I'll link it to you guys so you can have it in the show notes later. But in the midst of this, Imba fueled, frenzy, there was a Medium article on Imba, and in the comments, just one person said, "Oh, this is really cool, but have you looked at Svelte?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll throw it into Google just to see what's out there." I don't just run all the way to the hills with the first thing I see.
Yep.
And then I saw a little bit, liked it, saw a bit more, liked it more. Then I saw Rethinking Reactivity by Rich Harris, liked it a lot. Went through the tutorial, kept liking it, and pretty much kept liking it since. So yeah,
Wasn't Ember one of the ones that was up just above Svelte on one of the latest surveys that came out?
I haven't looked.
I don't
I don't
think so.
Imba ever got there.
Something just edged us out earlier this year, and I swear
Solid.
it was Ember.
Was it Ember? JS? I'm saying
Ember
Imba,
as in-
IMBA, sorry.
IMBA.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Much shorter. It was like it was a weird amalgamation of JavaScript, Ruby, and
Oh, interesting.
Python syntax and all that. So I think that's why I didn't.
Yeah, for
Pick off?
it was like a DSL by Scrimba.com, which is like a video tutorial.
Yeah,
Mm,
I think I've mentioned that that video tutorial site a bunch of times on the podcast. It's a really cool. Like have you guys ever seen it? Because if you haven't,
Yep.
go onto that site and just start one of the videos, and then you realize it's not a video, and you're like, whoa. So it's a very, very performant, very cool project in my experience, at least. But yeah, so you're actually not the only Svelte developer that I know that has tried out Imba. So you guys probably know Luke. He used to dabble a bit in the Imba community, as far as I know. And I was actually interested in Imba as well before Svelte came out. Never really used it, but
I feel bad for Imba. It's kind of like the jilted partner for the hotter.
I've never heard of that one. How long has that been around, or has it died out since?
no, I think it's still around.
I've just never heard of it.
Yeah, it's tiny, right?
I think it just doesn't have the same momentum.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It also doesn't have Rich Harris, which I think has been one
big
key.
one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So, what excites you with Svelte going forward, Ron? Is there anything that you're hoping to see?
I might even say it's already kind of happened. I started using Svelte in 2019, and this year, and perhaps even next year, when SvelteKit reaches 1.0, that validation that it was a good choice, or at least the reassurance that it was an okay choice. Just not people saying, "Oh, sure, Svelte looks fun, but it's just a little toy." Everyone always says, "Does it scale?" Or it's not ready for production, or who else is using it, or how come there aren't any 3JS libraries made for Svelte? You hear all that all the time, and I think now that people are using it themselves, because the thing is, people who use Svelte tend to end up liking it. You don't tend to see people who try it and they're like, "Oh, actually, you know what? My presumptions were correct. It blows." So I think it's just more a matter of getting people to try it. Yeah, I know. I was like,
templating.
"Ooh."
I can never use this.
I do hear that, but I hear that
JSX
from
is so much
people
better.
that like really haven't tried using Svelte. That they'll like look at it and they're like, "Oh, this is like handlebars or something," and
Exactly.
they're
Yeah,
turned
it's
off
like
by it. But
by principle or surface reasons. So
yeah,
I think when we get more people just trying Svelte, that's when you get more people liking Svelte and using Svelte. Usually the latter two, that's the hard part, getting people to like something after they've tried it. But the ramp here is really just getting people to try it for themselves and form their own opinions, which I think this year in particular has already happened.
I did a whole talk on that called "Starting with Svelte," and it's why you should just try it.
Yeah. And it's so easy to
Absolutely.
try as well. With the
Agreed.
Exactly. People love the tutorial.
With the REPL, the tutorial, there's the Sveltosis thing where you can transfer it into other languages or vice versa. Like, I picked that before. You've seen it. It's mitosis, but they've now added Sveltosis into the mitosis package from Builder.
Nice.
Sorry, Ron,
Nice.
what is happening with your head?
Oh,
Well, I told you before, it's my lights kind of being funny, but talking about
Yeah.
expectations and people looking forward to the floating head, this whole time, I'm here to reveal to you, this whole background has been fake.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like,
oh my god! I'm like the chroma key. It looks
Yeah.
like he just like cut his background, and he now has the floating.
This is
head.
bad radio, but yes,
This
I
is
did it live.
amazing.
Here's your floating head, folks.
Oh my god.
I took a screenshot. So.
Okay, good. I'm like, we need
glad.
that proof.
Oh, man.
Enjoy. I was wondering how long it would take for you guys to point it out.
Yeah, I mean,
We
honestly,
said something earlier, but
I just
not
thought you had
like,
bad
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so honestly, I thought because you said something. So there's his hands. Yeah. So honestly, yeah. So you said, yeah. For now, it's some. You said something with the words like, "Oh yeah, we'll talk about that later" or something, and I was like,
Oh.
something's going on here.
Is that
that was
uncomfortable to
foreshadowing.
wear? Like, are you wearing like a turtleneck thing around your head of a green screen?
It's okay, actually. Well, believe it or not, you've seen the original. It's much more comfortable than that.
Yeah,
It's much more
just
comfortable than having a
the-
piece of cardboard around my neck.
Yeah.
So I wonder if I can turn it off. 1 second. Like I said, this isn't great radio, but we can. There you go. So I've got a green screen back there.
Oh, I see.
and I'm
And
wearing
then you
this thing.
have a green turtleneck.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That looks a lot
That
more
makes
comfortable.
sense.
Yeah.
Nice.
Could we maybe find a photo of your setup? I know there's one floating around somewhere. Haha.
It's my pinned tweet, so that shouldn't be hard to
Yes.
find.
All right. Cool.
It's actually Rich's tweet that I then pinned.
Cool. So,
Yeah, there it is.
I think let's. Do you guys think we should move on to unpopular opinions, or is there anything else that you guys want to chat about before that? All right.
Yeah, well, glad you're in the community, Ron. It's been really great to see you, go from, not in the industry to definitely in the industry.
Yeah, it's been great. Sean's actually been like one big part of that as well. Like I watched that first Svelte. What was the Svelte Summit that I wasn't in?
Svelte Society Day.
Yeah, I might have been that one. And yeah, getting to know Sean has been, a major plus in this whole journey, and he's helped me a lot in my career as well. So shout out to Sean, definitely.
Woo.
I'll pay you later. We'll discuss the details.
All right. So, unpopular opinions. Who has one?
So I guess I already said mine. So I'll
Only
just type it
Sean.
in English one.
Yeah. So, what was that again? That was the.
I'm just typing it now. English is one. Duolingo should not exist.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah, I don't have one either. So, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I don't tend to fill my thoughts with unpopular opinions, but I figure, you know what? This is probably never going to be said on Svelte Radio, so someone better say it eventually. Svelte is bad. that should be a fairly unpopular opinion on this show, right?
That is.
Yeah.
But you have to justify.
You have to
just
explain.
can't say
You
it.
didn't mean it.
Well, like I just when I use it, I just feel too happy using Svelte. You know, I'm just brimming with joy and satisfaction. The developer experience just makes using anything else much worse.
Miserable.
You know, once you get Svelte, you can't go back. Like you end up meeting like tons of great people in the community, and then you run out of time because there are so many great people. It's rough.
Really
It's a
just
rough
a
deal
life
with Svelte.
suck. Like it just, it sucks all of my time.
Yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
you there, Brittany. I agree.
Same.
I guess this wasn't as unpopular as we thought. We're all in agreement.
Yeah,
I
don't
guess
really
this
have
is a popular opinion section now.
Yep. Yep. Sean takes
right.
the crown.
So we're at the last section of the show. It's called picks. You get to pick something interesting, something uninteresting, whatever you want. You get to pick it. So I guess I can start. While I've been having a fever and a cold this week, I have been playing a game called Hollow Knight, which is a game that I used to play a lot, and I just picked it up to play for a couple of days, and it's such a good game. It's a Metroidvania style platforming kind of game, if that explains anything to anyone.
Yep.
It's actually one of the best games I've ever played, probably, and it's
Very
great
cute.
value. It is, yeah. You play as a bug, and you go around and killing other bugs, which doesn't sound like a lot of fun, maybe, but it is a lot of fun.
It makes it fun.
Yeah, and I think it's $15 or something. There was recently a sale; you could get it for $5. It's just a great value, like very polished, and you can play it on almost anything as well. So,
Yeah.
I'd recommend getting
The
it.
art looks very nice.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. If you haven't tried it, try it out.
Super cool. I think I'm next. So we were talking a little bit about travel and microphones before the podcast started, and I was saying that I actually switched to a lavalier microphone because I used to have a Yeti, which is kind of the default starter mic for most people.
That's what I have.
And then I was convinced by people who are
And Ron
arguing,
just-
don't buy a Yeti. There's this sort of meme site going on, don'tbuyayeti.com. I think it's like the recording quality is decent. The problem is that it is a big black round thing that looks suspicious on X-ray machines in airports, and so I got tired of getting stopped for my big black round thing and asking what is that. It's kind of embarrassing. So I am switching to a lavalier microphone, which is just a clip-on microphone. It's so much lighter, so much, and the audio quality is just the same. So I put the recommendation
Wow.
in the show notes.
And it's like $10 US right now.
Yeah.
That's
like
crazy.
this is like
Nice.
I noticed as well that YouTubers, they all start out with these like fancy microphones with the boom arms and everything. It's like $1,000
Yeah.
bucks. You need to buy the audio interface and all that, and then eventually they switch to a clip-on mic. So why don't you just go straight to clip-on mics?
Yeah.
So my pick, and now I'm thinking, like, I don't know when this episode drops. I don't know if it's before or after, but we have a live stream with Skeleton, which is a new UI toolkit for Svelte with Tailwind CSS, next Thursday, the 15th. And if it's past, you can just go back and watch the live stream, but otherwise join us live. I also want to mention that just based on like being laid off last week and going through a lot of things, like get the mental help that you need. And Spring Health is something that Nellify offered for us. And I found we have free sessions through that you can get. And I've really enjoyed being able to like look at the list of providers, pick somebody, and then it's just a Zoom call. So it was really nice for like getting some help and just having somebody to talk to. And if you need that help, just reach out to people.
Yeah. I've always been of the opinion that like most people should probably talk to someone like a professional or something.
Yeah.
Not like just in general, like not for maybe you don't have any issues. Well, most people have issues of some kind. So Sorry, you're muted, Brittany.
Even if you don't have any issues, just having someone to like throw things at, like just get things off your chest, talk to, and get like somebody neutral in the situation's opinion about things that are going on in your life, and having somebody there to support you and just talk with is really nice.
Yeah. All right, Ron, do you have a pick?
Yeah, I couldn't pick between two, so I'm going to tell them both. The first one,
Totally fine.
Yeah, you had a game. I have a game that came out recently called Warhammer Darktide. I played the precursor called Vermintide. If you ever played Left 4 Dead or any kind of co-op game, it's 4 people, you go in, you play with each other. And I've just found that, as you get older, you kind of don't have the patience or the appetite for competitive stuff anymore. So just hopping online with, 3 other people who, all working to the same goal, all like people aren't yelling at each other, on their own team because they didn't do this or that. It's more like a chill, mature kind of way to game, I feel. And I don't know much about Warhammer or like 40k and all that, but the graphics and the musics, they've nailed it. And the gameplay of like the melee of like using close quarter swords and hammers and whatnot, they've nailed the feel of that being fun. So that's definitely one of my picks. And the second one is, have you guys ever seen Squeeze peanut butter bottles? So normally you have a jar where you unscrew the lid, you get your knife.
Wait,
spoon,
this is going to save my life. What?
Right.
I have jelly.
Right. Yeah, right.
And
right.
I make peanut butter sandwiches every day
Exactly.
for my kids.
Yeah. Imagine holding both of them, just going.
What? Where do I get this?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like outside Australia. Like, I'm sure like it's not really that mind blowing an invention. But as in not that groundbreaking, but
Upside down in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of like getting a knife out and then spreading, you just go with the bottle, squeeze it, and
you do everything the
thing is, this is actually a marketing / I don't know, commodity / capitalist or whatever you call it ploy. So they found that with shampoo bottles, toothpaste, whatever, if you have something that points down and you squeeze it to go out, you tend to always use more than you actually need. So you end up buying more of this stuff. But this is one of the cases where like, okay, I see what you're doing. I know we're going. I know I'm falling into it, but I'm willing to pay the price of that. This is so much more convenient. If they just made it crunchy somehow, if they like got the right viscosity of like a liquid squeezing out but still be crunchy, like that'd make my day. That'd make my life.
I would like crunchy too. My kids don't like crunchy though, but I need that. And I've been using mayonnaise for years like that, but I found jelly this year for the first time.
Yeah.
And now I just need to find some peanut butter because that sounds like a life hack.
Right? Yeah. Sick pick, right?
Very sick.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. That's all of the discussion points, all of the sections, all of the everything. Ron, thanks for coming on, even though it's in the middle of the night.
Go get some sleep.
It's nice seeing you again after Svelte Summit.
Absolutely.
Even though it's just online.
Yeah, it feels like not that long ago, but it's already been 2 months. Is that right?
Yeah,
really?
2 months today, probably, right? September.
Crazy.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still
months.
highlight of the year.
3 months.
3
3 months.
Really
Jeez.
special time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time
It just goes to
flies.
show how being in person, like how special that makes it feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's nice to have events back in person again.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. All right.
Okay,
With that
thank
said, we will see you all next week. And enjoy your Svelte week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, it's Kevir. If you like the show, please drop a review on your favorite podcast player. It would help out a lot. Thanks.